Mayberry, USA. Home to Sheriff Andy Taylor, his young son Opie, Aunt Bee, Gomer, and of course the clumsy but ever so lovable Deputy Barney Fife. It seems like such a wonderful place. Or is it? A closer look reveals a worrisome trend that might make you rethink your desire to live in the town that has always symbolized a kinder, gentler, and simpler way of life. Because when you really start to take a hard look at things, you'll notice that people just disappear in Mayberry. They come into town and at first everything seems great. After all, Mayberry is the friendly town. But before you know it, they vanish. And the weird thing is, no one ever talks about them again. Ever. It's as if they never existed. Without even looking real hard, it's easy to come up with the names of 4 young ladies who disappeared into thin air in a relatively short period of time. Yep, for whatever reason, it seems to be the young single ladies that disappear. The menfolk in the town of Mayberry, well, they've got less to worry about, unless you happen to be the town's mayor. But that's another story. It's a town that claims to have little to no crime at all, but the reality is that there would actually appear to be crimes. They just never get reported, if not crimes at the very least. We've got 4 very suspicious missing persons cases. First up, pretty young Ellie Walker. She caught the sheriff's eye right away, and before you know it, it seems like they were spending quite a bit of time together. But Ellie was a bit of a rebel, a nonconformist if you will, and there were those in Mayberry who didn't appreciate the change that she tried to usher into town. And then one day, shortly after the holidays were over, she just disappeared. Rumor had it that she'd run away with a guitar player, but that didn't really make a lot of sense. Ellie had seemed to be putting down roots. It seemed like she might be planning to stay a while, and then she wasn't. Speaking of weird, Nurse Mary was a strange one, and a strict one too. If you didn't want a tetanus shot, you better beware this young lady's wrath. And she was always changing her looks, like she was never satisfied. One day she's a brunette, and the next day, she's a blonde. But it was more than just the change in hair color. Folks said that Nurse Mary didn't even look the same. Kinda had a crazy look in her eyes. Others said she just seemed afraid all the time, like she'd given one tetanus shot too many. Her newfangled ways didn't sit well with a lot of the citizens, even though they knew she cared a lot about them. And then, just like Ellie, she vanished too. Shortly afterward, another nurse arrived to replace her. Her name was Peggy, and as you might expect from someone who had chosen a career that involved the care of others, Peggy was kind, benevolent, and strong. And at first, she seemed like she might stick around the little town of Mayberry for a while as well. The sheriff and his son sure seemed to enjoy her company. They took her fishing, and she in turn would cook them dinner from time to time. All seemed to be going well. In fact, this is one of the last known photos of Peggy, enjoying her hot cocoa and singing while Andy strums his guitar. She really seemed to be making herself at home. She had worked her way into the community and, it seemed, Andy's heart. And then she just vanished into thin air, just like Mary, just like Ellie, and no one ever mentioned her again. It really makes you wonder, did they just leave town? Or was there something more dastardly afoot? Could the good people of Mayberry be involved? As a group? I don't know. It's hard to say. It really is. Mayberry was always known as a happy and safe place. Unless your names are Ellie, Mary, and Peggy. More likely it would be a lone wolf, a loose screw. And if I were to point fingers, I'd start with this nut, Floyd the barber. The guy always seemed to have one screw loose. Always seemed ready to crack. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Or could the disappearances be the work of the world's greatest rock thrower? Maybe he was looking for another mother figure. But I really don't think any of that happened. I don't think Floyd went crazy, well, any crazier than he already was. And I don't think Ernest would willingly throw a rock at a beautiful lady with the intent to harm. That just wasn't Ernest's style. Instead, I point to this man, Sheriff Andy Taylor. He was personally involved with all 4 of the ladies who went missing. But wait, you say, you've only talked about 3 of them. That's because very little is known about the other victim, the first woman to go MIA. You see, she was Opie's mother. According to Andy, she passed away when Opie was just a little speck of a baby. You know, I believe Andy when he says that. I really do. I just wonder how much more there might be to that story. Whatever really happened, I believe the little town of Mayberry is full of secrets. Deep, dark secrets. And some of the secrets are better left unspoken. Just like the names of Ellie, Mary, Peggy, and whoever the heck was Opie's mom. So that's it. What do you think? Do you think that there's a dark, sinister underside to Mayberry? Or did these ladies just quietly slip out of town and move on to bigger and better things? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And I hope you recognize the humor in this. Not being serious, just trying to have a little bit of fun. I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, television, mostly from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thanks for watching.